Here we go. It's slow, but it's happening. Yay.
Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Janetta, and I am pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube, live or later, and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings each month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at UofVA for all the details. Our message and meditation today comes from Kelsang Milob. Milob is an American Buddhist nun and a student on the Kadapa Meditation Center, Washington, D.C.'s teacher training program, where she serves as the online marketing manager. She is a sincere and dedicated practitioner who offers Buddhist teachings with clarity and humor, and her teachings are suitable for practitioners of all levels of experience. And now, here's Milob.
Greetings, everybody. I'm so happy to be here today. My name's Kelsang Milob. I'm a Buddhist nun at Kadampa Meditation Center, Washington, D.C. And today I'm going to offer a brief teaching and guided meditation about ultimate happiness, our potential for limitless happiness. So I've got three things that I want to guide us through today. The first point is that we all want to be happy and avoid suffering. And a lot of times, especially in our country today, things are very divisive. We tend to focus on our differences rather than what we have in common. But from the Buddhist perspective, all sentient beings, not just human beings, but animals, insects, beings in other realms, we all want to be happy and avoid suffering. In fact, my teacher, Geshe Kelsang, who founded the New Kadampa tradition, which has centers, 1,200 centers around the world, wrote in one of his 23 books. This book is called How to Transform Our Life. Although all living beings have the same wish, basic wish to be happy all the time, very few people understand the real causes of happiness. We usually believe that external conditions such as food, friends, cars, and money are the real source of happiness. And as a result, we devote nearly all our time and energy to acquiring them. And I think we can understand this from our own experience. Kind of the bottom line on this is, we'll all order things from Amazon, and really on some level, that underlying desire when we order things is we really believe on some level that whatever that is going to, satisfy our desires, make us happy. But then, like with so many other things in our lives, we get whatever that is, and it doesn't make us happy. It doesn't satisfy our desire. So maybe 10 minutes later, we're back, looking for something else. And we do that with, pretty much everything in our lives. We're always, looking for, maybe it's whatever it is for you, maybe a job, a partner, a house, a nicer car, whatever that is. We're always kind of out there thinking that our happiness is like, if we just line up all our external circumstances right, we just have to get it right, then we'll be happy. But again, I think a lot of us have had that experience on a larger scale where, we can get everything. We can think, okay, now maybe I've really got everything I want. I have a family, I have a nice house, I have a car, I have a good job, I have a nice partner, whatever that stuff is. But a lot of times we're not happy. Those things really do not create the happiness that we're looking for. And another thing, a lot of this is in our society, a lot of this revolves around technology. Like the latest phone comes out, it used to be, I think a lot of you guys are, kind of maybe my generation or, not too distant past, where you can remember when, like people would wait in line for the latest iPhone, right? There was a big event, like I'm going to get the new iPhone. And kind of the underlying idea with that is if I have the latest thing, that will make me happy. And what Geshe says about technology is that in recent years, our knowledge of modern technology has increased considerably. And as a result, we have witnessed remarkable material progress, but there has not been a corresponding increase in human happiness. There is no less suffering in the world today, and there are no fewer problems. Indeed, it might be said that there are now more problems and greater dangers than ever before. This shows that the real cause of happiness and the real solution to our problems does not lie in knowledge and material things. So with that being said, okay, now from the Buddhist perspective, we understand that our outer conditions are not a source of happiness. So then what is our source of what will make us happy? Inner peace. Because from the Buddhist perspective, we perceive everything through our minds. So therefore, since all of how we perceive the world comes through our minds, we filter everything through our minds. So our inner mental and emotional state is basically reflected in what we see in the outside world. So what Geshe says about this is that if our mind is peaceful, we will be happy all the time, regardless of our external conditions. But if we are disturbed or troubled in any way, we will never be happy, no matter how good our external conditions will be. We can understand this through our own experience. For instance, even if we are in the most beautiful surroundings and have everything we need, the moment we get angry, any happiness we may have disappears. That's because anger has destroyed our inner peace. And again, this is something I think that a lot of us can verify from our own experience. And I've kind of got a funny story about this. So before the service started, I was talking to some of your church members about a big thing that we have in my Buddhist tradition, which is we have an annual summer festival every year in England in our temple in the Lake District. And it's a big deal. We have thousands of people come from all over the world. We get teachings from just amazing teachers. We just all have the chance to be together and to, learn more about Buddhism and Buddha and the eternal truths that have been taught for more than 2,500 years. But, because we're people, like, we're not always really happy with maybe the day-to-day conditions. because there's a lot of people and like we're sleeping in dorms, there's a big dining tent where we all get our food. And I tend to be a little bit of a picky eater. So the food is not always something that I enjoy. I mean, I love going to festivals, but the food is just not the high point for me, maybe for anybody. It's all volunteer run and we're very grateful, but we all have different tastes. So my story is that one day I was pretty hungry, and this year at festival we had a pizza tent. So I'm like, okay, I am going to get a piece of pizza. I had my eye on it, and usually the pizza tent, there's a long line, so you have to wait. And I had a volunteer job where I didn't always have time to wait around before sessions to wait till the line was short. But it happened one evening, I went over there and the line wasn't very long. So I got in line and I got up there and they had one piece left of the kind of pizza that I really wanted to eat. So, they picked it up on the big, whatever thing that is, and they put it in the oven and I paid for it and I'm waiting and it's, warming up and I'm just imagining how wonderful it's going to be. So the volunteer who was there at that moment, when it was done, she opened the oven, she put her thing in, she took it out, she went over to my plate and turned the thing that held it over to put it on my plate. The piece of pizza fell on the dirt floor upside down. No pizza for me. So I got another piece, but it didn't make me happy because first of all, it wasn't the kind that I wanted. And, I was kind of laughing at myself the whole time because I was watching my mind and just kind of understanding that here I am making a big deal of something, that even if I get it and it satisfies me for an hour or two, I'm just going to be hungry again later. So that's kind of the view that we try to cultivate in terms of understanding that the things out there are not going to make us happy. That basically happiness and suffering are states of mind. And from my point of view and the Buddhist point of view, like that is really good news. Because think about it, if our happiness was really out there, like if we had to always go out there to be happy, like it never works. We would be basically waiting for like other people to behave in the ways that we want them to behave or to do what we want them to do, which we know that they don't. That's not the way it works. We would always be like we're doing now, we would always be searching for different objects, external objects, people, circumstances to make us happy, when I think a lot of us understand instinctively that it just doesn't work. And that's a lot of times why people come to the Kadampa meditation centers. And I'm sure it's why people come to, your community, because they're looking for something more. They're looking for something that all those objects and things outside our minds can't provide. So with that being said, so my final point is, so what can we do? So if the things out there can't make us happy, and it's only our internal peace of mind that can make us happy, how can we get better control over our minds so that we can be happier all the time? Because that's really the bedrock of what Buddhists believe. Like we believe that every living being has the potential, the pure potential to eventually become enlightened, to become an enlightened being, a Buddha. And all we have to do is access that potential. It's there. There's a Buddha said, like, even in the mind of the most degenerate and evil person, there is Buddha seed or Buddha nature. He likened it to gold nugget in dirt. So, like the question that we are as Buddhists, the question, the belief that motivates us is, engaging in practices that are going to put us in line with, are going to put us in alignment with, so we can access our Buddha nature and use it to transform our lives to ultimately become a Buddha, because that's the way Buddhas they're not unhappy. And how could they be unhappy? Because their job is to bestow blessings on all living beings every day. So I wanted to talk a little bit before we move into our meditation about, a few things that we could do, practices that you might be able to, that you could use in your daily life to increase your inner peace and, decrease the amount of time that you're kind of, have mental disturbances or negative minds, the things that are going to make us disturbed. So another thing Geshe says in How to Transform Our Lives is that the only way to develop inner peace is to train our mind through spiritual practice, gradually reducing and eliminating our negative states and disturbed states of mind and replacing them with positive, peaceful states of mind. So what does that look like? And there's a lot of different entry points into this, but what I wanted to focus on for a minute or two today before I guide us in the meditation is the concept of what we call in Buddhism inappropriate attention, which you could also frame as kind of negative states of mind. And in Buddhism, inappropriate attention is when we pay, like if there's something that is a mental source of mental disturbance, the idea is that we're disturbed because we're just paying attention to the negative attributes that we perceive in that object. And it's the same thing with positive states, with what we call attachment. So that would be where we're, think is something is maybe better than it really is. What we're doing is we're just paying attention. We're paying inappropriate attention to the positive, what we see as the good things about that object versus anything that might not be so great. So the idea is to avoid, watch. A lot of the idea behind this is we just need to get better at watching our minds. Because if we're getting angry about something, there's usually some signs in your mind, right? You start thinking, well, let's say it's another person. Well, they just did this thing that I didn't like. And then you start thinking about all the other things that they may have ever done that you didn't like. And then I don't like the way they look. And, whatever it is, I don't like their sweater. And you just start dwelling exclusively on the negative qualities of that person, even though maybe that person is your partner or your friend or your child or someone you're in a community with, like this church. Maybe because they did something that disturbs your mind, you're all of a sudden totally focused on their negative qualities. And that I found is a really good basic practice to start with. Just start noticing when you're going negative on something, even if it's yourself. Because we do that all the time. We do something that we maybe don't think is appropriate, and then we just go and start beating ourselves up, right? And you're stupid. Why did you do that? You should have done something different. You're always da 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 da. Before we know, we're having a really bad day but it's only because we're beating ourselves up. Maybe there's nothing else that's happening that's gone wrong instead, but we're just get focused on beating ourselves up or getting angry at someone else. And the thing is we don't have to do any of these things. I mean, we kind of feel like we do, but we don't. We can just accept our feelings and try to transform them into patience. Maybe there is someone in your community that you find really irritating. Well, great. Be patient with that person because who knows what they have going on. Okay, and I also don't want us to run out of time. So what I wanted to do is guide a very short meditation. And this meditation is about something I just mentioned, which is on our pure potential for inner peace and happiness. So if you can assume a meditation posture, feet flat on the floor, eyes mostly closed, but you don't want to get sleepy, back straight but not tense. And remember that this is your time to meditate. You're not going to allow yourself to be distracted or disturbed. We should never allow ourselves to become overwhelmed or discouraged by our faults. We may have a lot of anger in our minds, but this does not mean that we are an inherently angry person. No matter how many negative thoughts we have, they are not an essential part of our mind. They are like mud that dirties water, but never becomes an intrinsic part of it. Just like mud can always be removed to reveal pure, clear water, so negative states of mind can be removed to reveal the natural purity and clarity of our mind. By identifying with our pure potential, we can develop the wisdom and courage to overcome our negative thought patterns. We need to keep a constant watch over our mind and learn to distinguish between beneficial and harmful thoughts that are arising moment by moment. Make a determination to identify with your pure potential like a gold nugget in dirt by watching your mind and avoiding negative thought patterns. Meditate like this for a few minutes. When you're ready, you can rise from your meditation. I hope you found that helpful. And another thing we do in Buddhism is we always offer what we call a subsequent practice or homework to do in what we call the meditation break, which is most of our lives, the time in between our meditation sessions. And so my suggestion for homework or subsequent practice would be to experiment with watching your mind more carefully and just seeing what comes up and whether those thoughts and feelings, are they leading you in a positive direction, or are they leading you into a negative direction where you might get angry or have mental disturbances? And once you kind of made those connections within yourself, it's easier to start stopping yourself from going down the places where you don't want to end up, and to start accessing that pure potential in your mind to be happy all the time. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you, Milob. I actually was talking on mute, but now I'm sure folks hear me. And we thank everyone for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thanks again for watching.